Hello everyone, today we'll be focusing on React.js, but not only React will be the main part of that episode, but also connecting it with react-redux. React-redux, which is very useful store framework that will help us to manage our store, so we can just pass our props wherever we would like to with that tool. Okay, also you will need to have, if you would like to, Redux DevTools to check if everything's work correctly. Is the extension that will follow the state of our store. Okay, without further ado, just go to your Visual Studio Code, your IDE, open terminal and npx create react app, and that, because I'm inside the folder, if you are not, you can just write some name here, but in my case it's that, and it will take about 1 minute, and after that everything should be prepared and ready to get started. So okay, when everything is installed, as you can see, we need to install some dependency, I mean Redux and react-redux, and with that we can start to build our application. Okay, first of all, what we need to do is to go to source folder, and inside that source folder we would like to create something like store.js, and inside that store it will be main heart of our Redux storing store, that we can call it also warehouse, where everything will go and which will provide the whole states, I mean whole current states to our application. And to do that we need import and we need create store, and with that we need it from Redux. Okay, the next thing that we'll need to have is to import something like root reducer. That, of course, we will just create in a moment. It will be from reducers. How we will do that, I will show you in a moment. Next, we would like to initialize our store, so create store, and with that we pass root reducer, and as a second parameter we get window / Redux DevTools that extension, and because that's not all, remember there's 2 underscore in each of them, and we would like to have window / Redux / DevTool extension, and with parentheses. Also, right now we can save it, and the last thing that we have to do is to make export default store. Okay, and we are ready with our store. The next thing, as you can see, we imported something like root reducer, and I will show you by building what is reducer and how we import it like that. Reducers, sorry, we'll rename it, and inside that reducers folder we'll make index.js, and that index.js will contain combine reducers from Redux, and we will just right now only get initialize combine reducers, so it will contain all the reducers that will be inside that. Reducers are the actions that will be calling whenever we would like to code some kind of function. So we will dispatch some function, then it goes to the reducers, and we will check which action we call. And to do that we need to call some reducers. We'll make some counter, for example, and we can call it counter reducer, and that's all that we would like to have. Of course, you can have a lot of reducers, don't worry, there's not only one that you need. Right now we'll create two reducers. And of course, we call that counter reducer, as you can see right there, .js. And inside that counter reducer, I will show you what is it. Counter reducer equals. And right now, the whole magic will start to do. First of all, what we will need to do, because we've got our reducer, we need to initialize our state. And our state, because it's easy counter, it will be 0. And then we will need action. It's arrow function, so we call it like that. Then also, whenever you would like to call the reducers, you can call, for example, like initial state, for example, and make some kind of, I don't know, object, and say that object you can make name, for example, John, and you can pass it over here as an initial value, initial state. Or you can just call it like that. But in our case, we will just stay with that 0 because we would like to have the counter that will start from 0. We'll make a switch statement because we can also create if something, then something, and so on and so forth. But it takes so much time and it's time consuming and not worth to do. The best thing that we can achieve our goal is by switch. And we action that type. That's what I said before. The reducers call the actions, the type of actions, and then what will happen with the current state that will be stored inside our store. Okay, so as you know, we've got inside our switch case, and we can call it like increment, and we will return state, our state, +1. And that's all. The next thing that we'll have to do is, for example, decrement. Okay. And the last one, it will be -1. And the last one will be default, as we need it, and return state. And with that, the only thing that we'll have to do is export default counter reducer. Okay, the very important thing, right now I will not do that, but you should create inside that source folder something like constants. And because as you know, we as a people make I usually make some kind of misspell, typos, or wherever. And to be sure that you will not able to make some kind of typos, you can call it like that and assign it to variable. And is that the case that you should do whenever you would create a bigger application. But in that case, we will stay only with that thing. Then go back to index.js and we can import our counter reducer from counter reducer. And right now, the next thing that we'll need to do is to go to our index.js, I mean the main index.js, where we'll make some kind of adjustments. Right now, we don't need that. We don't need that because we deleted. And to be honest, we can stay like it is. Okay, we will need only two things. We'll need something like provider from react-redux, and the next thing we'll need a store from our store. And right there, instead of our React strict mode, as you know or do not know, we can call it whatever we would like to over here. Okay, and we would like to make a provider, so it will provide our store to whole application, because our app.js in our case is the main application whenever everything starts and happens. Okay, and here we just provide our store, as you can see, and we pass our store that we created over here. Of course, that tools that I just do that. You don't have to, because that's the only way that you will be able to use React DevTools and follow if everything's work correctly with your states. Whenever you build bigger applications, it will help you to debug some problems. Okay, and right now, as I said, we'll make some kind of counter, and to make it happen, to make it easy and clear, we'll need to create that counter. So we'll make a inside that source folder. We'll create, for example, file, and it will be counter.js, and there we'll create some React component. The only thing that will be changed over here, we'll need something like use selector, but we'll need use selector like this from React Redux, and also we'll need something like use dispatch to call and create our functions. Okay, inside our counter, we'll need to initialize our counter. So to make it happen, we create const counter and use selector, and with that use selector, you can get inside the state, and from that state, you will get the counter. And how we know that that's the counter? Because whenever we would like to, whenever it's over here, whenever we would like to call the name of our state, is the same that we just provide in that combine reducers. So going back to get the counter, we need to go to states and then go to the counter. Also, we need a dispatcher to dispatch our functions. Use dispatch, and that's all that we need to call over here. Of course, we can create something like very easy function, for example, counter, and we'll pass counter over here. Okay, the next thing that we'll need to have, we'll provide, some buttons, and that button, for example, can be increment, and another button that will be decrement. Okay, I will just copy that names because I don't know if I make a lot of typos. And inside that button, the only thing that will need to happen to create is on click. We don't have to even just import that functions. We will create on click and only dispatch. And what we would like to dispatch? We would like to dispatch something like type of increment. And with that, everything will work as we would like to, as we provide in our reducer. I mean here. And right there, of course, we dispatch type and we'll decrement. Okay. And the last part that we'll need to have is to go to our app.js, and instead of that all things, we need to call counter. Remember to import that, and right now npm start, and let it happen. Whatever we would like to achieve and have. Just wait a few seconds when our application is going to load. As you can see, we've got very easy application right there. We'll just go here with our Redux DevTools. Right now we don't have anything, but as you can see, our initial state is counter 0. Whenever I call increment, it just increment by 1. As you can see, it's just go there, and right there we've got functions like whenever it decrements, also it will work how we would like to have, and that store will be available inside our whole function. And that's how React Redux work with React in some basics. If you would like to have some advanced features with React DevTools or something like React Redux, leave in the comments. If you like it, leave a like. If you love it, leave a subscription. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day. Bye.